In July 1976, the industrial city of Tangshan was devastated by an earthquake. It was an appalling disaster. 700,000 people, it is estimated, lost their lives. The relief organization was a massive one. Within hours, convoys of troops, doctors, nurses, and food were on their way to the stricken area. Hua himself headed the operation and went to supervise it. The way in which it was handled added to his reputation for administrative ability. Two months later, Mao Zedong was dead. A million and more attended the memorial service in Tiananmen Square, the Square of Heavenly Peace, and the service was relayed to all parts of China.
同志们、朋友们，今天首都岛政军机关、国人兵以及各界群众的代表，在天安门广场举行隆重的追悼大会，同全国高级人民一道。
Though he was technically junior to others in the higher ranks of the leadership, the only oration at this great ceremony was given by Hua Guo-Feng. This was another indication that he was likely to be Mao's successor. The deaths of Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai both occurred in 1976. Was this a very critical time for China?
1976年是我们中国不平凡的一年。
1976 was for us in China an extraordinary year, a year of severe trials. Comrade Mao Zedong and comrades Zhou Enlai and Chu Da all died in that year. They led the Chinese people for more than 50 years, and it was under their leadership that the Chinese people, after arduous struggles, founded the People's Republic of China and stood up in the world. So their passing away plunged our party and people into deep sorrow. The Gang of Four, taking advantage of this extraordinary moment, accelerated their counter-revolutionary activities to usurp supreme power both in the party and the government. It was a critical moment, and the life or death of our party and state were at stake. What did the future hold for China? Would China adhere to the revolutionary cause pioneered by comrades Mao Zedong, Zhou Enlai, and other veteran revolutionaries? Or would the Gang of Four succeed in usurping leadership and enforcing a fascist dictatorship? The fate of the Chinese people was hanging in the balance. The Chinese people felt great anxiety, and our friends abroad worried for us too.
Six months after the funeral service for Mao, Tiananmen Square was the scene of another mass gathering, but the mood this time was very different. For this one was to celebrate Hua's appointment as chairman and the arrest of the Gang of Four, who had been maneuvering for overall power even before Mao's death. It was 6 months, I think, after you became premier that the Gang of Four were arrested. Was this a difficult decision to take?
Of course, it wasn't an easy decision to take. They were all members of the political bureau. One was a vice chairman of the party central committee. One was Comrade Mao Zedong's widow. They'd been engaged in conspiratorial activities for many years. These were all factors that had to be taken into account. But the late Comrade Mao Zedong himself had, in meetings of the Political Bureau, exposed and criticized their factionalist activities and their wild ambitions, and said that the problem which they posed had to be resolved. They were, in fact, quite isolated within the Political Bureau and in the party as a whole. Moreover, they'd lost all popular support among the masses. In 1976, when Chairman Mao was critically ill, and following his death, the gang stepped up their activities and were about to unleash their scheme to usurp supreme power in the party and government. Meanwhile, because of their incitement and sabotage, railway traffic virtually ground to a halt, many factories were shut down, and the economy as a whole tottered on the brink of disaster. So a decision had to be made without delay. On October the 6th, 1976, we in the party centre took the decisive action which successfully smashed the Gang of Four.
How widespread was the support of the Gang of Four at this time? Was there any danger of an actual civil war?
Well, we thought at first that perhaps there would be some trouble in Shanghai, where they had been building up their influence for more than a decade. But there was no major, medium, or even minor disturbances whatsoever. Before we announced the news, many people had already heard about it through the grapevine, and there was circulated the saying at the time that 4 pests had been got rid of in a sanitation campaign. When word spread to the cadres and masses in Shanghai, they broke out in celebration of this victory. More than 6 million people spontaneously went onto the streets to parade in support. The problem was resolved without our having to fire a single shot or shedding one drop of blood. The whole country was calm. I think this answers your question about how widespread was the support of the gang at that time.
Many people are asking, what is happening to the Gang of Four? Can you tell us something about that?
I can assure you that they are alive, but of course they're in confinement. Like everyone else, they eat and they sleep. We won't mistreat them in the way that they tortured countless cadres. They will have to account fully for their towering crimes against the Chinese people.
Does this mean there might be a trial of the four?
Yes, they will be dealt with in accordance with legal procedures.
Many people in the West think that Chairman Mao's ideas are being discarded. What would you say about this?
Some people in the West say that we are discarding many of Chairman Mao's ideas, and I know that some even say we're engaged in de-Maoification. This is not at all the case. Even a cursory review of how things stand in China will show exactly the opposite. Lin Biao and the Gang of Four willfully distorted and tampered with Marxism, Leninism, and Mao Zedong thought. They alleged that Chairman Mao had developed Marxism, Leninism to the highest peak, and that one sentence of his had the strength of 10,000 sentences. They claimed that there was a bourgeois class within the Communist Party, that veteran cadres were bourgeois revolutionaries and had or would inevitably become capitalist roaders. We launched a nationwide campaign to criticize and repudiate these utterly idealistic fallacies of theirs, and called on the people to learn and master Marxism, Leninism, and Mao Zedong thought in a comprehensive and faithful way. We did this to clarify the issues, and thus defend and develop this system of thought. Our current national discussion on the question of the criterion of truth is exactly what Comrade Mao Zedong advocated all along, namely, to proceed in all cases from reality, to seek truth from facts, and to integrate theory with practice. These are all basic tenets of our ideology. This discussion has helped to reapply the principles long advocated by Comrade Mao Zedong. His great and meritorious service to the Chinese people is immortal, for all our victories were scored under the guidance of his thought, which integrated the basic principles of Marxism-Leninism with the concrete practices of the Chinese Revolution. But for his thought, there would have been no new China.